The purpose of this short video is to explore the impact of departing the European Union on the United Kingdom's farming sector. We're going to be looking at the Common Agricultural Policy, which currently applies to this sector, and the alternative legislation prepared by the current government, often known as the Draft Agricultural Bill. There'll be a series of slides and some footage, which are intended to make the take-home messages from this presentation clear. I hope the presentation encourages some debate about the future of UK farming, particularly under alternative legislation, and what it might mean to be running a farming business, with Brexit becoming increasingly likely and the possibility of this new legislation being implemented. Thanks. The key question this video will try to answer is how will the UK's farming sector transition from the Common Agricultural Policy to a green Brexit? Will there be a continued focus on intensive food production, or will this focus change to the provision of public goods such as flood alleviation or access to the countryside? To try and formulate an answer for this question, we'll begin with the current state of the UK's farming sector. 17.5 million hectares, or 72% of the UK's land area, is currently used for agricultural production. However, how this land area is farmed differs from previous years. Notable declines are in the number of cattle and sheep, more people are employed, and the hectares of croppable land has also increased. Overall, however, there are mixed results for the sector as a whole. So how does the EU's Common Agricultural Policy influence this sector? Despite reforms to the CAP, through agri-environment schemes for example, analysis still concludes that food production is prioritised over preserving wildlife or enabling access to the countryside. What alternative legislation to the CAP is the current government proposing? As mentioned earlier, this is the Draft Agriculture Bill. Farm advisors for the National Farmers Union have identified it as enabling. This is a reference to the provision of public goods for public money. These public goods are flood alleviation or mitigating climate change, for example. The Agriculture Bill is intended to deliver these public goods, which are currently offered by farmers, but this is not recognised under the current provision of the CAP. So what do other key stakeholders in the farming sector think about this agricultural bill? There's a wide number of perspectives, but there are certain elements which really stand out. For example, the maintenance of existing levels of investment and financial support beyond the end of the current government is seen as very significant. This multi-annual budgetary framework really attracts a lot of attention, as the position statements from National Farmers Union, Young Farmers, Woodland Trust, Tenant Farmers Association, National Trust and the RSPB all demonstrate. How will the farming sector change if the Draft Agriculture Bill is adopted? This bill differs from the CAP, with its emphasis on an agricultural sector which provides a secure food supply for citizens of the United Kingdom. Notwithstanding the CAP's priority of food production, there has been a certain amount of ongoing reform, often defined as agricultural liberalisation. The bill differs from the CAP by extending this liberalisation further, by offering public money to farming businesses for the provision of public goods rather than purely agricultural services intensively linked to food production. In conclusion, the combination of public funding and environment-focused policy within the Draft Agriculture Bill has the potential to drastically redefine the farming sector as a provider of environmental benefits for the UK's wider population. Final adoption of this bill is contingent on Brexit, however, and change is the only certainty, whether through further reforms to the CAP or the implementation of this new policy. So effectively we're at a crossroads, and it is contingent on Brexit about what route we'll take. One certainty, as mentioned before, is that there's going to be a lot of change, whichever situation results.